Awesome. Welcome, everybody. Today, we have two very special guests on the podcast. We are talking about cultivating a success mindset, knowing when to quit, and getting out of comparisonitis, featuring Olivia and Crystal Stoutzenberger. And I'm really excited to have these two ladies on today because they are mindset and storytelling specialists, aka the soul shifters, and they help ambitious female entrepreneurs go from stuck in soul exhaustion to finally creating an authentic, purpose-driven income online. So ladies, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, thank you so much.
How did you guys get started in the online space? Because you have a really fun and interesting journey of how you guys kind of connected, started working together, and started growing your business.
Olivia and I have worked together in a network marketing business previously for about 3 years, and we hit it off at a leadership retreat and decided to start working together. And so we just clicked. We have the same passion for personal development and for growth. And that brought us to, this journey of really wanting to help other women in the mindset realm and within their business as well.
Amazing. So you guys were in network marketing together. And then how did you make the decision to, transition into creating your own business and creating your own programs?
Yeah, definitely. It was about probably 6 to 8 months ago now. We had met on Zoom every single week ever since this leadership retreat that we met at. And we just were meeting every single week. We had the same goals, the same vision. And about 8 months ago, we got on a Zoom and something just wasn't sitting right. We were seeing so many of our fellow entrepreneurs, people that we just adored, a lot of friends, a lot of leaders within our company, just really hurting, really feeling that overwhelm, that frustration, that stress, that almost daily anxiety. And they were just stuck at this wall. And we had found ourselves there too. Honestly, we weren't even sure how we ended up getting there. We were both successful in the eyes of our company. We were moving forward, and we loved every part of it, but we were at that daily anxiety spot, that burnt out stage. And so we were like, okay, what do we do? How do we move forward? How do we get solution oriented? And we're like, well, let's go to life coaching school. Why not? We've always been into mindset stuff. We've always been into personal development, and we wanted to help these women somehow. Obviously, health and wellness was important to us, but we'd always been people that more went into the mindset, personal development, belief side of everything. So went to life coaching school, realized we fell in love with it completely. And we're like, if we have a solution to help these women, it's selfish of us not to be able to serve them in this way and help them break through this plateau. So we started our OC coaching business back in February, and just kind of on a whim of where we were feeling called and where we wanted to serve, and just went for it, which was one of the scariest decisions we've ever made.
I love that you're saying you saw there was a problem and said, okay, what is the solution? How do we want to fix this? How do we want to move forward in a way that feels more authentic?
Yeah.
And I also had left network marketing and transitioned and created my own business with my business partner. So I'm sure you guys get a lot of the same questions. And one big question that I know a lot of ladies are probably wondering, and one you probably also get really often, is how do you know when to quit? Because it's such an interesting idea of knowing for yourself when to walk away from something and move on to something that for you personally might be bigger and better. So was that a decision that you made overnight? How did you feel into that? How did you weigh the pros and cons?
Mm-hmm. Honestly, it was not an easy decision. It wasn't one that happened overnight. Truthfully, Olivia and I spent months debating what to do and praying and crying and really weighing out all of the pros and cons. But it boils down to this, and this is something that we work with our clients both in our courses and our group coaching and our one-on-one coaching to discover, is what truly aligns at your core. And what is your definition of success? Somewhere between childhood and adulthood, our idea of success and what we really want is tainted and tethered by other people's opinions of what we should do. And so we knew that we had to strip away what everyone else thought we should do. And we had to really think about what is going to be our purpose in the long run, and how are we going to best serve people in that. So I remember being on a call with Olivia, and we just said, it was like, what's our next best move? And we didn't want to, really put too much thought into the how, but just what's our next best move to be able to serve our calling in the way that felt authentic to us. And that's when we decided we got to do this. And that's what we help other people discover, is what's really at your core. When you strip away all of the shoulds, what's really at your core, and what do you really want to do?
And I think too, a part of it was, I mean, we literally ignored this calling or this feeling inside of our gut. I mean, for a long time, because it was the scary route. It was the road less traveled. It was stepping away from stability and certainty and stepping into the unknown. And like, there's all of these doubts and these fears. And it was really like, we ignored it. We're like, nope, we'll just keep going. But as we continue to figure out what drove us, it was like, we can't not do this. Like, we have to go all in and see what kind of ends up, because when you learn to trust your gut and trust your intuition, you just have to follow that. It never leads you astray. You're going to hit obstacles. You're going to hit roadblocks, but it's been the best decision we've ever made, even though it was the hardest one at the same time.
You guys are nailing it. I love this idea of stepping away from stability, because that's really what it is when you decide to up level and go chase something that maybe is, like you said, the road less traveled. So for you guys, what do you feel is your zone of genius?
We ask the tough questions. We are very passionate about business strategy as well, and social media and storytelling and live video and all those super important pieces. But our zone of genius, there are so many people that rock at that side of it. But what we love to do, what we kind of pride ourselves on, is taking people through the soul work, through the tough questions, through the hours spent in journaling, through asking, these questions that we have and that we've asked people, that we've asked ourselves, that give you that almost aha moment, that breakthrough, that personal development, personal growth, that belief in yourself, and finding what is it that drives me, what makes me happy, what pisses me off, like what am I doing because someone's told me somewhere down the line, breaking through those limiting beliefs, and then stepping into that business strategy, and whether that's with us or someone else. But the soul work is like where that is our jam. So that, I would say, I don't know if you have anything to add to that, but that's definitely part of our zone of genius.
Yeah, it's funny because we've asked, people that have worked with us, what was your biggest takeaway, or what would you share about working with us? And it's always, you ask the tough questions and you expect an answer. And we believe that ultimately digging deep, that is what is going to get to someone's core. And that is what is going to uncover that authenticity within their business, right? It doesn't matter if they want to stay in their network marketing business or if they want to venture out and do something on their own. Either way, you need to operate in the way that feels totally aligned for you. And so our deep question asking is what gets there. So
yeah,
absolutely. And that's what a great coach does. And I kind of talked about this the other day, the difference between being a consultant to somebody and giving them all the answers versus holding that space and having them have those breakthroughs. And I think that's what you guys do so beautifully. I've seen so many of the ladies who you've worked with and all of your testimonials that you've gotten. And I mean, across the board consistently, that is what people say about you guys, that you give them the space to have these breakthroughs. You give them that permission to think a little bit outside the box.
Yeah.
So you guys call yourselves the soul shifters. For so many entrepreneurs, they feel like they're spinning their wheels, they are burning out, they're inauthentic in their business. What is the first step that you teach someone in getting unstuck? Like, what is the best way to get back in the game?
That's a good one. Our first step with everyone is asking the question, how's your soul? So before, we have a lot of clients come to us and say, hey, I want to rank advance, or I want to do this in my network marketing company, or I want to create this. But our first step is always to say, all right, let's go back to this first, and let's start with the soul stuff, and then let's get to the strategy and make sure that everything feels aligned for you. So the question we always ask first is, how's your soul? And just have them journal on that for a long time. And then we take them through, redefining success and finding what really is their core values. What are those, and what makes them tick, and what's going to drive them away, so that when they're fighting for these goals, whether it is in network marketing or their own business, they're able to kind of have something to level it up against. What is it that you even want when you strip everything away and operating from that place?
Absolutely. One of the things that we do immediately after that is we have them redefine success on their terms. And what does that look like for you? Because for everyone, it is different. And so often, even, in network marketing and outside of network marketing, we see people having success and it looks attractive. So a lot of times we want to chase that. We want to go after what's successful to that person, but it may not be what success is to us. And if you continue to follow down chasing what's important to other people, you might hit a goal and then all of a sudden you're like, why does this not feel good in my soul, right? Why does this not excite me? And so really helping people get super clear on who they are and what they actually want.
Yeah.
When it comes to just the entrepreneurial journey, of course, there's ups and downs every single day. It's kind of this crazy roller coaster. So for someone who wants to improve their mindset and really do the spiritual soul work on a consistent basis, I almost would maybe think of it as like this positive belief stamina, this muscle that they're building. So how does someone build that muscle so that they can become less affected by the lulls or the lows in their business?
Crystal, do you want to start on that one? I've got some stuff to say too, but.
Yeah. Well, you're probably going to mention this anyways because you are fantastic at it. I think that one of the things Olivia does so well is she helps people identify their limiting beliefs and to redirect those into a positive affirmation. A lot of times, I know for myself personally, maybe there's something that happened in your past or something that someone told you along the way that you weren't good at or you'd never excel in. And so you take that on and you kind of own it. And it's very easy to become a victim to past circumstance, right? So Olivia's really good at walking you through getting rid of your limiting beliefs so that you can really step into your calling. And I'm sure that you're going to share something more on that, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. And honestly too, like just journaling without an agenda. So we can identify these limiting beliefs and we can go through this process, but a huge part that we're so passionate about, all of our students would like roll their eyes when they hear this about, we always ask them to journal about it. The first question we say is, have you journaled about it yet? Just allowing yourself, creating that space for yourself and honoring that and allowing yourself to go through the feelings. I think so often, especially in society, we're taught to just suppress our feelings and we need to be strong. And if we're an entrepreneur and we're a leader, we can't be seen as weak. We have to just pretend like everything's got it all together here. But we allow people and we tell them to strip it all away and allow yourself that space to just explore those feelings and where are they coming from. If you're going to do something every day and something stops you, what's stopping you? How do you work through it? So often we're focused on, the symptoms. Crystal's so good at explaining this, the symptoms of things, but we never get to the root cause of them. So our job and what we encourage everyone to do is to start figuring out, where is this coming from, rather than just being like, oh, I have to hustle through it. Where is this coming from, and getting to the root cause of it. And then you can hustle later, but you have to make sure everything's aligned for you. So limiting beliefs, journaling without an agenda. And Crystal's really good. One of her huge strengths is being able to walk people through their priorities. And so many entrepreneurs, we always hear like, my family's my why, my family's my why. But they're not even spending any time with their family because they're hustling. So, Crystal and I both worked like 12 plus hour days a lot of the time when we were in our network marketing company. And we thought you had to do more to make more, and you have to be working harder. And you hear Gary Vee, who I love him, but like you talked about on your live video the other day, Jen, it's all about hustle is sexy now. And it's that if you're not hustling, and if you do have any free time with your family, then you're a failure almost in the eyes of the entrepreneurial world. So Crystal is fantastic at getting the relationships back in, those priorities back in line, and helping you run your business from there. Because again, that just brings the joy back in your business. You actually have fun in it again because you're honoring your key priorities.
Absolutely. Do you guys find that there's one specific thing that most of the women you work with are really struggling with? Is there one shift that almost every single person has had to make?
I would say, honestly, honoring business hours has been the largest shift that we've seen. And I think that it's allowed people to finally start to enjoy their business a little bit. Like Olivia said, a lot of times, and we work with a lot of females, a lot of people who are moms, and they say, my family's my priority, or my community is my priority, or my friends are my priority, or my spouse, but they're literally spending no time. They're on their phone 24/7. And so we actually walk them through an exercise where they create zones, and we have them plan out their day where they're only working in those specific zones at times that they've set aside that fit into their schedule, into their life. And, and it's big for us to make sure that if you say your family is a priority, well, then let's look at your calendar and let's see if they're really a priority for you. And if they're not, let's make those shifts. And I promise you, everyone that has actually done that and followed through, it's like a whole new world for them, and they're enjoying it. My top tip for everyone would be, if you find yourself, you're totally scrolling social media, right? And you are saying, well, I just always have to be in my business. At least, if you don't do anything else, put your phone in the glove compartment when you go to dinner with your family. Put it away. It's going to do two things. A, it's going to take that pressure off of you of feeling like you need to constantly reach for your phone to check for a message. And B, it's going to show your family that they are a priority. Yeah. And that's something you have to be so careful about it within your relationships and your business. You don't want your family to feel like your business is your priority, because in the end, they're going to be the ones that are with you, right? So really helping them see that what you're doing is important, but they are more important, and actually following through and showing the action steps, because that's somewhere that I messed up. My first couple of years, I was working a lot. I was telling everyone, be authentic. I love my family. And I was literally working 15, 16 hours a day. So yes, that's like the biggest shift that I always try to make sure happens right away.
Definitely.
That's such good advice, and a very good practical tip. Put it away, put it on airplane mode. Don't look at it. And I think this speaks a lot to boundaries, which is another thing you guys talk about a lot, and especially in network marketing. And I don't know if you guys found this as well. A lot of ladies in network marketing will have almost no boundaries with their team or their clients, people texting them all day long, all night long. What advice do you have for people in terms of creating boundaries in their business?
Well, first I can tell you we've both been there.
We've all been there.
We've all been there. So know that you are not doing anything wrong. If that's you, we would encourage you to set those boundaries. And so the best thing to start doing, I think, is one of our favorites, is setting those expectations with clients that come in. I know, if I would not message someone back right away, I had this huge fear that they were going to go work with someone else. But at the end of the day, okay, so what? That was a scarcity mindset for me. It was thinking that if I don't get these people, I'm not going to hit my points. I'm not going to do this thing. I'm not going to move forward in my business. And I was all out of whack. So set the expectations with people, set those business hours and let your clients and your team know. One of my favorite things to do is I tell people I have a 24-hour rule for my responses. And if they don't want to work with me because of that, that's fine. I have to honor that and honor myself and my family and my priorities so that I can better serve my clients. So setting those expectations right off the bat, maybe having it in your email. Maybe if someone messages you, don't even have the notifications on your phone. We love to tell our people, twice a day tops, maybe answer your messages. Don't be answering messages all day long. Set that part in your business hours, in your strategy of your zones, and know that you can get to them later. It's almost more rewarding too, I think, is when I can sit down and I have a full inbox and go through them versus being at everyone's beck and call all day long, because you have to own your worth, and you are worth so much more than maybe that initial commission or that, sliver that you get every single month when people are getting their product moving forward. You're worth so much, and your time is one of your most valuable resources next to your energy, and you have to protect that. It's something that you can't buy, and making more money isn't going to buy you more time. If you don't set these expectations and these boundaries now, you're going to burn yourself out, and you're going to end up resenting the thing that you were passionate about in the beginning, and you're going to lose that joy.
Yeah. And one of the reasons why it can be so difficult to set boundaries is, especially in network marketing, we get into that business, right, to serve. If you ask someone, why are you in your company? I want to help people. That's the first thing that you will hear. And so a lot of times the people that are in network marketing, they are people of service. But what happens is you can start to decrease your value. And I know that you guys talk about this all the time. If you're constantly pouring into other people all the time, what are you going to have left over, right? Oprah talks a lot about how people will say, you're always pouring into yourself. And she's like, yeah, I poured myself every day so that I can overflow for other people and I can serve other people. And so that's something that we really want others to understand is, like Olivia said, own your worth. And in the end, you create a sustainable business versus if you're just pouring out all the time, you are going to get overwhelmed and burnt out and quit at some point.
Yeah.
I love this. This is so important that we're talking about this right now, because you're right. You can't serve from an empty cup. I don't know if you guys would agree, but a huge problem, especially in the network marketing industry, because a lot of ladies are coming into it going, well, I just want to help people, but they're also broke. And eventually you burn out. And I think that's where you guys kind of come in and pick up the pieces and teach people, okay, here's how to do it the right way. What would you say creating boundaries does for your energy and your creativity?
Everything. Like, where do I even start with that? Honestly, everything. And I was going to say too about, because kind of you just said that was super prevalent in the network marketing field, and I realized I didn't even say this, but another huge pain point, which I know you can totally relate to as the clients you work with, the biggest struggle, one of the biggest struggles is I'm not attracting business builders. Mm-hmm. But if you're glued to your phone, that's why you're not attracting business builders. That's a huge part of it, because nobody wants to be glued to their phone every day, missing out on family time, missing out on freedom. Like we say all the time, we're creating this for freedom. But if you don't have freedom from your phone, you're not going to attract those business builders, those people who want to build a business like you are, because you're teaching them how it's going to be through your actions. And if you're responding to their messages at every single second when they message you, they're not going to want to be a part of that, because they're like, that's exhausting. No, thank you. So setting those boundaries, I think, is a huge part of also starting to attract people into your organization that want to do something with this and see the beauty of it and the freedom of it and the choice in it, versus like being glued to my phone, lacking time with my family, that kind of thing. But for the energy part, everything, dear Lord. I don't know if Crystal has a better way to say it, but everything.
And one of our favorite resources, because creating boundaries also helps you to become a powerful person versus a powerless person. And one of our favorite resources is Danny Silk's book, Keep Your Love On. It's all about communication, setting boundaries, and becoming a powerful person. And yes, I would agree. It does absolutely everything for your energy. I know that when I am not sticking to my boundaries, and when I start to pour out more, I'm not serving people in the way that I know that I can. It's almost like I'm going through the motions, and that's not what my clients deserve. So it's very, very important to set those boundaries. Because also I think it helps either your clients or your teams to do the same, and you create a solid foundation versus something that's going to crumble if you don't have those boundaries in place.
And it's so interesting too, how a lot of that stuff, creating boundaries, people are very afraid to do it. And it almost feels very counterintuitive or maybe counter-habitual to do it, just because they modeled off of their upline or other people in the industry. And yet when you do it, there's such a sense of freedom. I know you were talking a little bit about this whole sense of lack around, if I don't respond to them, they're going to find someone else. And I know you guys talk a little bit about lack mindset, limiting beliefs. So I'd love for you to touch on that, maybe in relation to how that fits into owning your power, owning your space as a business owner.
I mean, I think it's going back to that. You have to remember, like, your mind literally controls everything. The thoughts that we have literally become our reality. And if we're in this mindset, and even if you don't say it out loud, right? We think like, well, no one heard it. I'm not telling anybody this, but you're secretly playing that broken record in your head of there's not enough. There's never enough. There's no more where this came from. I have to hit this number by the end of the month. And if I don't, I'm a failure. And all these things we're telling ourselves, that is controlling everything. That's the energy that you're putting out into the world. And that's what you're attracting back to you. So as far as that goes with the lack mindset of there's not enough, you have to change that. You have to literally identify, where is this coming from? Write them all down and rip them up or burn them or put them somewhere else, and then rewrite them in the positive. So when you do get that broken record playing again, you're able to stop yourself and say, I recognize this. This doesn't feel good. This is literally going to control what happens next. And then you need to change it and redirect it. So when you're saying there's never enough, you're saying there's always more than enough. I attract the perfect, amazing, incredible clients with ease. More money is always coming to me effortlessly. There's more where that came from. Whatever that looks like for you, whatever feels good and it gets you like in your soul and in your gut, and you're like, yes, this freaking rocks. That's what you have to kind of redirect everything, because that's the energy that you'll start attracting back to you. But you have to do that consistently and start to learn how to catch yourself and almost find accountability in that as well.
And a lot of times we try to cheat the system, right? We try to lead externally when we're really broken internally. And you can't cheat the system for a long time. If you're trying to on the outside, everything appears like you got together and you're leading and you're good. But on the inside, you're just totally crumbling. It's going to come out at some point. So really identifying that is going to help you move forward.
Yeah.
That is huge. So I have to ask, for someone who maybe is a big leader in a network marketing company who has a team of people and they're trying to put on a good face and they're trying to be that strong person, but like you said, they're crumbling inside, what do they need to do in order to step up and become the person that would actually be the best possible leader?
Yeah. They need to get transparent, not only with themselves, but with their teams, right? Because you can be really good at what you do and hate yourself at the same time, right? If you're not operating authentically, if you're not operating within your core values, you can be great at what you do. The numbers in your bank, ranks and accolades can look all great, but if you're just like totally broken on the inside, it's going to show. So the first step would become transparent and be okay to create a space for other people to be transparent as well. When we open up, and I'm saying all this because this was me, right? I was like, oh, I got it together, guys, we're good. And on the inside, I was just so lost, right? But whenever I finally decided to ask myself, how's your soul? To become transparent and to have those really tough conversations, it's almost like you got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Then as a leader, you show your team that you're there and that you want to grow and you want to stretch and you want to work on what needs to be worked on versus trying to like shove it down and just collect a bunch of PD information that you're not implementing anyways. So that would be my first tip, is get transparent.
I literally wrote that down because I have to keep notes. So I remember what I was like. I'm like, oh yeah, this. And so I wrote transparent underlined. That's super funny. But the other thing I was going to say is also, especially if you're a leader, I mean, start to maybe ask yourself and give yourself permission to think, because this is what I had to do. This isn't working. What can I do to change it? Because I think so often, and guys, again, like everything we're sharing today is literally what we have been through, what we have walked through. So I'm not ever like preaching. I'm just sharing what we've been through, how we've gotten through it and what we see. But I remember like, I was getting told more personal development, talk to more people, message more people. And something is actually when I started working with you, Jen, something didn't feel right. And you gave me that permission to feel that and to start maybe talking about the fact that something isn't right. And something insanity, right? Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. And I'm sitting there doing the same things. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And the things I've been doing that had made me successful back in 2014, 2015, I was doing those same things and something wasn't working. And as a leader, I had to get super honest with my team. I actually went live in our team page and I just said, here's the thing, guys. I don't have it all together. Okay. And I probably even cried. I'm a super emotional person. But I was just like, I don't know maybe what the next best step is for us. But I want you to know, like, I'm not over here, just pretending like it's all good. Like, I want you guys to know we're in this together. We're going to figure it out. Let's make small changes. Let's figure out what's not working. What is maybe one little thing I can change, not overhauling the whole system, but what is one thing we can change moving forward that can then make it start to be like we're trying something new, and giving yourself that permission to change things. Maybe you're not going to run things the same as your upline, but if it feels good for you, it's going to feel good for your team. Because every single one of my personally sponsored coaches, when I shared this, they were all like, oh my God, I thought it was just me. I thought it was just me that was struggling over here. And I was like, girlfriend, I got you. I'm with you 100%. So that transparency and that giving yourself permission to change things was huge for both of us.
Perfect. So first, get transparent, then give yourself permission and your team permission to be open about that stuff, think outside the box a little bit, and then come with creative solutions. Boom. I love this. This is so good. And I know that there's some serious light bulb moments happening right now of people going, wait, this is happening for me too. Oh my gosh. So I know you guys also talk a bunch about tuning into your intuition. This is kind of the whole idea of like really doing that soul work. How does somebody learn how to tune in? And I know you talked a little bit about journaling. What's maybe the next step after that? Like, what would be a practical tool or maybe some mantras or morning rituals that someone could do, or ones that you guys do that you have found really powerful?
Get still.
Yeah.
You know, allowing yourself to be in a quiet space. I know for both of us, we've talked so much about this, and it's those still small whispers, that little, like, it's a tiny feeling. It's nothing like so here's the story. When we were going from network marketing to what we were feeling called to do in this entrepreneurial coaching with other entrepreneurs, it was so funny because we ignored it for a long time, and we kept saying, like, can we get one more sign? And we're like, hey, God, can we get like maybe one more? Can you like write it in the clouds? And that doesn't actually happen. Like, there's not going to be someone appearing in your kitchen being like, this is the next step. This is what you're supposed to do. But trusting your intuition is getting quiet. And so taking time every single morning, maybe it's before everybody gets up. My favorite time is when it's still dark out, because there's just something super still about that and calming, and just allowing yourself to listen. And, you know, just listen to what is going on. What am I feeling? And then honoring that and moving forward in that, versus constantly be asking like, well, I'm just going to wait for another sign and another sign and another sign. Because eventually that opportunity is going to walk away from you. You have to just, when you feel that, you have to trust it and jump.
Yeah. And truthfully, you know, we all know what we're supposed to do on the inside, right? Olivia and I help people strategize different things, but all a strategy is an organized action plan. And we already know what we need to do. So when you allow yourself to get still and to listen, you can pull those things out. And it may not be like meditating or sitting in a quiet room. Maybe your getting still is being out in nature. I know for me, when I go to the beach, that is like the most profound and like thought-provoking things come to me at that space. That's where I feel like I'm the most mindful and I'm the most willing to listen. So maybe also setting that expectation for yourself that when I hear these whispers, I'm not going to ignore them. I'm going to explore them, and I'm going to try to discover what's going on.
Yeah. And I think too, like you said, a mantra and body language, I think, is huge. If you're sitting there being like, you know, closed off, and you've got your arms crossed and your legs are crossed, and you're just like, okay, I'm ready, I'm open, whatever do you have for me? And you're like in that kind of almost a negative mindset, and you're like, well, this is what they tell me to do. But you have to allow yourself to just be open, like whether your palms are up, if your hands are up in the air, whatever it is, whoever you believe in, trust that like divine guidance. You know, you're going to be guided, but you have to be open to it. And so being open to receive and being open to a possibility, even if it's just something super small that you're like, I don't really know if that might be. If you're being directed in that way, go with it, you know, but allow yourself to say like, I'm open, I'm ready for whatever's next. I'm ready for whatever possibility, whatever opportunity you have for me, and then be guided into that versus feeling like you have to figure it all out on your own, because that's exhausting. I tried that.
Yes, this is great. Really tapping in and tuning in and listening to those whispers. When it comes to, you know, looking at other entrepreneurs, I feel like this is such great advice too, because so many people are comparing themselves to other people and looking at what everyone else is doing in terms of their success or their rank or their income or how many people like their video. What are your guys' best tips on comparing yourself to other entrepreneurs? I know this is a topic that you guys cover in depth in your program, and something that you talk about a lot because it's pretty rampant in the with the ladies.
It is. And, you know, this is what I love to tell people. Allow your experience to be the expert. Stop looking for everyone else's story and what they have to offer. You are connected to an incredible company, whatever that may be. It's likely successful, right? And that company could have paid a celebrity to endorse their products. They don't. They look for real people with real stories, because that is what connects other real people to their product, right? But if we're always trying to emulate what everyone else is doing, you're not going to have a voice, and you're certainly not going to attract the people that are supposed to be with you. I know it's cliche to say, but comparison is such a thief of joy, because it takes you out of your core values. It takes you out of your definition of success, and you're walking in someone else's shoes towards a goal that's not even your own. And again, that causes that burnout. It causes that inability to be authentic, right, in your business, in your life. So I mean, if you're a Facebook scroller and you find yourself just all the time, throw your phone away. I don't know. Just get rid of it.
I was going to say practical tip on that is unfollow. Like start unfollowing people. I know when we start, we want to follow these top leaders and these incredible people. And I think that's important to a certain extent. Learn, success leaves clues, learn what works and what doesn't. However, you will just naturally, we're humans and we're females. We're going to get caught in comparison, and it's a trap that will literally destroy everything for you. I remember the nights that I would like see someone, or I wouldn't rank advance, or I wouldn't do this thing that someone else was doing. And I would just cry myself to sleep because I was scrolling all of these leaders that I respected and I looked up to, but I was like, who am I? And I saw myself as less than, and how would I attract a successful business if I was in that mindset? So, allow yourself to unfollow people every single day, maybe one person a day, 2 people once a week, whatever it might be. And it's okay to go be inspired by those people. Like there's certain people maybe I would go to still be inspired, kind of see what's up. I got interested in their lives. I'm like, what's their story? What's going on over there? But don't allow yourself to compare yourself, but also give yourself grace. If you find yourself slipping into that, unfollow them and just maybe take a social media break for a second and walk away and go write down 5 things that you're awesome at, or 5 things that make you you, and start operating from that space versus the shoulds and what everybody else is doing, because that's exhausting too. There's a lot of exhaustion I'm talking about.
Well, that's your whole thing, soul exhaustion.
Right.
So
true.
It's so true though. It can be so debilitating and create such a creativity block, so much paralysis when you're only watching what other people do. And I know I've shared this with you guys, but there's also something called the newsfeed eradicator. It is a Google Chrome plugin. I'm sharing it with you right now because it is a productivity and a comparisonitis game changer. It's not for your phone, just for your computer. So little shameless plug for that company, because basically you don't see your newsfeed and you get so much more stuff done. It's insane. Do you guys use that?
I do. Yeah. I really enjoy it. And it's funny because then I feel bad almost. Like I would catch myself feeling bad about, well, I'm not liking this person's stuff. And what if they don't think that I care? But we, again, are teaching people how to do this. So if you're constantly on everybody's post, liking and loving it and commenting on it first things, that's just with having your newsfeed on, that's not even in comparison. But then you're teaching your coaches and your team members and your distributors that you have to be on social media 24/7, liking everything to be considered important almost. And that's a trap I found myself in. I don't know if anyone really relates to that, but the newsfeed eradicator is a game changer for sure.
I know that you guys both have incredibly supportive spouses. For a lot of lady entrepreneurs, getting their husbands on board and getting their spouse or their significant other on board is nearly impossible. Or they feel like it's never going to happen. The husbands are always asking, where's the money? When is this going to happen? When's that going to happen? So I wanted to see if you guys had any practical advice for anybody who's struggling with this. How do you begin to approach the conversation with a significant other about entrepreneurship to get them on board?
I love this question because I feel like so many people struggle with it. And just to be totally transparent, my husband, we did not understand that together when we first started out, right? It's taken time and effort. But one thing that we have people do right off the bat is we teach them to create a family agreement, right? So when they go into their business, they're going to sit down with their family and they're going to create an agreement. First, they're going to share with their family why. Why do they want to do this? Why do they feel like they're going to be able to serve people in this capacity? And then what do their business hours look like? And what are the boundaries? So we tie all of that in and we, encourage people to frame it, put it in your living room so that everyone can see it. And it's not just with your spouse. What about your kids, right? They need to understand that they're a part of this too. So family agreement is getting everyone involved so you guys are all on the very same track. And understand, with finances and budgeting and all of that, that can be a huge factor too. So another thing that I share and that we do in our family is create if you're going to invest in a course or in your business in some way, what does that look like within your family budget? If you're going to spend over $300, it's something that you're going to sit down and all talk about together versus going in and buying, this large course or a new thing that you can offer through your business. And then your spouse is like, what in the world? All this money's going out, but nothing's coming in.
Mm-hmm.
But if you set up all of those expectations before you even dive into going down the road, then there will be no surprises. And this is something I got totally wrong. So that's why I'm sharing with you that we teach other people how to do this now.
Yeah. I love this idea of a family agreement. This is so cool, especially if you have kids, because they can become part of it. They get to participate in making those decisions. Oh my gosh, this is such a cute idea.
Mm-hmm. I love that. We had actually did a love shift challenge recently in our free group, and we had our husbands come on a live video, and the four of us were all on, and we interviewed them and gave them permission to speak honestly about what maybe they wish we would have done in the beginning, or how they would change it if they could go back, that kind of thing. And family agreement was huge, but it was also like always being on our phones. I think sometimes we can read our husbands, maybe that we don't think they're into our business and they're not supportive, but really they're frustrated because we are moving forward and we're changing and we're excited, which you should be. But I remember I would go on these trips and I would invest in these things and I would do this and I would do this. And I would always talk about my business, my business, my business. And it was almost this fear of me outgrowing him. He was like, well, wait, she's like in this new team and this new realm of people, and she's going to do all of these things. And making the simple shift to share my vision for why I was doing what I was doing, asking for his support and changing it from my business to our business, along with that family agreement, was the game changer, because there were many nights that we would go to bed not speaking because he's all mad. And I'm like, why are you mad? And it's because I was on my phone all night. Mm-hmm. And it was me showing through my actions, not even saying it, but just showing through my actions that this was more important. And I'd be like, yeah, but I got to do this. I got to do this. And he was like, well, okay, all right, then you're doing that. And it's been a long road the last 3 years of having to figure this out. But if you are upfront, I think, about it and honest about it, and sit down and really value their input and their opinion with it all, then I think it's easier to work through it from there.
Yeah. And again, we say this word all the time, but transparency, for my husband and I, for some reason, he loves to talk in the car. And I feel like if you're driving and I'm in the passenger seat, it's a good 15 minutes that I can get some work in. But we've made a rule, right? We don't get on our phones in the car. And hopefully he wouldn't be anyways if he was driving. But if I have, let's say there's like a really important client that I need to get back to or something, I will turn to him and say, and this isn't something he's told me that I need to do, but I'll just say, hey, I have this email that I really would love to respond to. Are you cool with that? He'll be like, yeah. Right? But it's like I put out any fire before it could have ever started. And so just being like very cognizant of how they're feeling, which can be difficult, especially if you don't have a supportive spouse, or if maybe you're in your business 2-3 years down the road and it's become this, tense subject. And maybe that's a time for you to be able to go to them and just be vulnerable and say, hey, I feel like I've kind of been getting this all wrong. I put out on social media that I'm doing this for my family, that my family is my why and they're my priority. But in reality, that's not happening. And I've been getting that wrong. And I would love to make some shifts in this area. Are you down with that? And I can't even tell you, I'm sure if, someone's having that problem and they go and they're just vulnerable and take some ownership, then I bet their spouse's eyes are just going to light up and it's going to transform things.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. That is beautiful advice. That just having that open and honest conversation, and it just all comes down to communication and knowing how to frame it in a way that is going to be well received. And I think you said it perfectly. That's amazing. And hopefully there's some ladies listening to this right now who can take that advice and really go and have an open and honest conversation with their spouses, maybe for the first time in over a year. So this is really, really important stuff. Couple more questions for you ladies. I want to know, how do you define success?
That's a big question.
It's a big one. I know it's one that you guys said earlier you give to your clients. So I figured I would throw it at you guys, because there's an infinite number of ways that we can define success. And I think it's such an individual thing, right?
Yeah, honestly. For me, it's freedom of choice. It's freedom of being able to choose whether that's with my time. Entrepreneurship can be a roller coaster, but having that freedom of my time is so important to me. And that is how I know that I'm moving in the right direction. I'm being smart with my boundaries. I'm setting the business hours. I'm able to go out and do things. I'm not maybe tied to a desk for a 9-to-5 that was no longer serving me when I had to walk away from that. Freedom of choice with finances. I think that so often we get wrapped up in, I don't want to be coming off as salesy and I don't want to sell something, but selling is how you get your shit. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. Made up to shit out into the world, right?
Shit out there.
If you're not owning that, you're not going to get to maybe that freedom or be able to serve in the level that you're being called to serve. That just means you're helping more people when you're making more money. So freedom of finances, being able to give back, something Crystal and I are so passionate about, is being able to go give back, get our hands dirty, go serve. We have a goal, like our first big income goal with OC coaching. We want to go take some of that and go on a missions trip and go be able to serve people and build something or do something that matters in such a big way. So for me, it just comes down to freedom of choice, and I can operate and I can put everything against that and saying, am I honoring my version of success in freedom of choice if I do this, or if I take on this, or if I say yes to this, and I'm able to say no more clearly because I know what success looks and feels like for me.
I would say that it's having the courage to be unapologetically me in whatever I'm doing. For a long time, I really just, I was allowing other people's opinions and decisions to define what I was going to do with my life. I was allowing my past circumstance to determine my future reality in a sense. And I never want to do that again. I never want to allow limiting beliefs. I never want to allow other people's opinions to determine what I'm going to walk in and what I'm going to pursue. And so being unapologetically me in every area with what I want or what I don't want or what I want to do with my life. Yeah. I think that that's so important as an entrepreneur. And that's typically why people have that fire and that passion to continue their journey as an entrepreneur. It's because they see what their calling is, and it's too loud to ignore anymore. Mm-hmm. And it gets to a point where it's like, I don't care what people think. I know this is crazy, but I'm just going to keep doing it anyway, and what feels really aligned with me.
Yeah. Definitely. And two, like, we can kind of give some practical tips on that. Something that we go through a lot of categories when you define your version of success. So yes, I mean, we all have this like overall why, the version of success that we're fighting for. But if you can identify what success looks like to you in your relationships, your business, and your experiences and possessions, those are like the three that we share with people like in our different trainings and such. And we go into so many more, obviously, when we work with people, but those are our favorite three to start you off. Like, what does success in my relationships, my business, and then my experience and possessions, what does that look like for me when I take away all the shoulds?
Yeah. And doing that in a way where you're not putting limiting factors such as finances or time or resources, just defining what that looks like, wholeheartedly. And in your, like, if you could just imagine big, what does that look like for you? Mm-hmm. So if imagining success in your relationships and doing it on a large scale is you having a date night 3 times a week, well, then write that down, because that's your definition of success. And that's where you want to get to anyway. So really just, being honest with yourself on what you really want.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are great practical steps. So guys, if you're listening to this right now, go and write some of this down, because that's really where you're going to find that deep clarity in what you actually want that to look like. And what these ladies are saying is, don't be afraid to go big with it. Be honest with yourself, whatever that is, even if it feels or seems impossible right now, write it down and honor that that's what you truly want. Anything's possible, right? So I want to find out from you guys, because everyone always wants to know, what are your favorite personal development books right now? Or what are the ones that are most influential? I'm sure you guys have like a very long list of books.
We were known, when we were in network marketing, we were known as like the personal development gurus.
Oh.
So that's super funny. That's like one of the first questions we always get. And we are working right now to get like something pretty we can share to like, here's like all of them kind of listed out.
Typically when people come, that, they say what personal development book, and we'll ask them, what area are you struggling with the most right now? Because there's a ton out there. Some of my favorites are How's Your Soul by Judah Smith. That is a great book. It kind of effed up my life because it asked a lot of questions where I was like, dang it, I don't want to answer that. So I love How's Your Soul. Imagine Big is really, really good. The Slight Edge, obviously, I'm sure that a lot of people, if they're in network marketing, they've heard of that book. Give and Take is a great book. Oh, there's a million.
How do I get better at like time management, or a deeper spiritual practice, or better with relationships? I would say there's probably different ones that you have for each of those.
Yeah. Relationships, definitely Keep Your Love On by Danny Silk, one of our all-time favorites, one we teach a lot out of as well. I'm trying to think, 5 love languages. That one as well. Definitely a huge game changer for relationships.
The Desire Map is a great book.
Dave Ramsey, Tony Robbins. But honestly, like for me, when it comes to money mindset, I've more so followed thought leaders in that area. So Ryan Yacomi, Chris Britton, Amanda Francis, there's a million more out there, but I like when it's money mindset stuff, I almost need someone to walk me through it. So for me, it's been like YouTube videos, Facebook Lives, reading their posts, getting into their groups, really like learning about it that way and having someone walk me through it. And then I can go through it.
If you're looking to do soul work, Alexi Panos has a book called 50 Ways to Yay. And that is a fantastic book that will take you through tangible and practical steps on how to answer some really deep questions as too. She's one of our favorites as well. She's
one of our absolute favorite people ever. And her book, Now or Never, that she wrote with her husband, Preston, is awesome. Girl Code. Obviously, You Are Badass, You Are Badass at Making Money, I've heard is fantastic. I haven't gotten that one yet. But then spiritual faith-based books like The Circle Maker is one that literally also effed up our lives.
Awesome. And I'll make sure to write all of these out in the show notes.
One of our favorite things. You have to be doing that. But you can't just read it. You got to freaking go do something about it. And that's what I was stuck in for a long time of, well, I do all the PD and, especially in network marketing, we're told if you're not successful, you just need to do more personal development. You can do it till you're blue in the face. You can spend hours a day on it. But if you don't start taking messy action, you're not going to get anywhere. You're going to be just stuck with a head full of information. So doing the action part and asking yourself after you read something, maybe, okay, with what I've learned today, what's my next best step moving forward? How can I implement this in some way today?
I want to know what is happening for you guys in your business right now? What is next? And how can people connect with you and learn more about you?
Well, we're really excited. We're getting ready to launch our largest project yet on May 15th. So that is the Soul Shift project. It's all about the soul work, and then we move into the strategy. It's a 6-week course, and we're super pumped about that. But we also have, I guess we can release this little secret. We also have an ebook thought journal that's getting ready to come out. We actually just got our final round of edits today. So that's going to be a journal that you can go through with there's different questions in there on certain subjects, a lot of what we talked about today, but getting you to just ask yourself those really deep questions. So that's coming out. And then do you want to tell them about our free group, Olivia?
Yeah, definitely. We have a free mastermind community that we pour so much into. It's one of our favorite places to hang out. And that is Female Soulpreneurs Find Freedom and Fulfillment. It is bit.ly/female soulpreneurs. Kind of a mouthful. But we do a lot of fun stuff in there. And if anyone's struggling with anything, if you're stuck, if you want to know what PD books to read, if you're wanting to know what's a good training to watch, we do a lot of fun challenges in there. You can share in there openly. And we just we're all about community. Community and connection is like our jam. That is our driver for everything. So being able to create that family and that connection and that community has been really, really important to us. So that's kind of like our main hub where we hang out. We love to love on people in there. And that's almost like our VIP area where you're the first to kind of know anything. Yes, like email lists are so important too, but there's just something so special about a Facebook community. And that's even where I found you and Angie, and just realizing like, dang, like if they're giving this much away for free, their paid stuff is probably freaking awesome, which it was when I started working with you guys. So it's a great place to start to learn. I can almost guarantee any leader you look up to, they have some kind of free Facebook community. A lot of them do. And that's a great way to see if they're even your cup of tea. Because there's a lot of people that think they want to work with us and realize, oh, they're not my cup of tea at all. And I'm sure you guys experience the same thing, but that's a great way to kind of almost test it out of like, would I hang out with them in real life? Would I go have coffee with them? Or am I like, not really my jam. So.
Oh, that's why I love Facebook groups so much. And you guys put so much amazing free content in there. You're always jumping on live video and just pouring into your free group. So guys, if you're not already inside that group, Olivia, give us the URL for that one more time. And I'll definitely link that up in the show notes.
Yeah, definitely. So it is bit.ly/female soulpreneurs. It sounds so fancy, but we're super chill too, though.
No, I love it. Well, thank you guys so much for jumping on today. It was such an honor to have you guys on the show. If you found today powerful, please share this with an entrepreneurial friend. Get them to listen to today's episode. There were so many amazing takeaways and juicy